Final part. My stepmother kicked me out of the house my mom left me, saying, "You're just a burden." So, I walked away without a word, but 3 years later, I returned as her landlord, and told her, "You've got 30 days to leave my property." The confidence in her eyes flickered for just a moment, and I knew she was wondering what I meant. She should have been worried. She should have been terrified, because I was about to destroy her entire world in less than 24 hours. I spent the next 24 hours, strategically digging through every document Dad had ever given me. And that's when I remembered the manila envelope he'd handed me 2 years ago, the one marked, "Kelly, open only if absolutely necessary," in his careful block letters. I'd tucked that envelope away in my memory box and honestly forgotten about it. Dad had been acting strange that day, more serious than usual, and he'd made me promise to keep it safe, but not open it unless something terrible happened. At 17, I thought he was being overly dramatic. Now, I realized he'd been preparing for war. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope and found 3 life-changing documents inside, along with a letter in Dad's handwriting that made my blood run cold. "Kelly, if you're reading this, it means Betty has shown her true colors, and I'm no longer here to protect you. I've been watching her behavior for the past year, and I know exactly what kind of person she is. I've seen how she treats you when she thinks I'm not looking, and I've documented everything. These papers will give you the power to fight back. Use them wisely. I love you more than life itself, Dad." The first document was a deed transfer, signed and notarized, showing that Dad had quietly transferred the house into an irrevocable trust with me, as the sole beneficiary. Dated 2 years ago. Right after Betty's mask had started slipping around him too. The second was a prenuptial agreement that Betty had signed, limiting her to only the personal property she'd brought into the marriage, plus 1 vehicle. She'd been so eager to marry Dad that she'd signed away any claim to his assets. The third was a notarized statement from Dr. Williams, Dad's longtime physician, confirming that Ronald Thompson was of completely sound mind, and under no duress when he created the trust, and made these legal arrangements. Betty was so confident in her manipulation that she'd never seen this coming. She thought she'd played the perfect game. But Dad had been playing chess while she was playing checkers. I spent hours organizing the documents, highlighting the relevant sections, and preparing for the most satisfying conversation of my life. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen, where Betty was sipping coffee from Mom's favorite mug, and scrolling through real estate listings on her iPad. Probably planning to sell the house before my 30 days were up. "Betty," I said, setting my own coffee down and taking the seat across from her. "You were absolutely right yesterday. Someone definitely needs to move out of this house." She looked up with that smug smile, thinking I was about to beg for more time or negotiate some pathetic deal. "I'm so glad you're being mature about this, Kelly. I knew you'd come around and see reason." "Oh, I see everything very clearly now," I replied, placing the deed on the table between us. "This is my house. It has been for 2 years. Betty's expression shifted from smug to confused to absolutely horrified as she snatched the paper and read it frantically. Her hands shook as she processed the legal language, her face draining of color like someone had pulled a plug. "This can't be right," she whispered, reading the same paragraph over and over. "I was his wife. I have rights. This is impossible." "You have rights," I agreed, sliding the prenuptial agreement across the table with the relevant sections highlighted in bright yellow. "You have the right to the personal property you brought into the marriage, plus that Honda Accord Dad bought you last Christmas. That's it." Betty's coffee mug crashed to the floor as she grabbed the prenup with both hands, scanning the document that she'd signed so carelessly 3 years ago. The legal terminology was clear and brutal. She was entitled to nothing from Dad's estate, except what she'd specifically brought into the marriage. "You little," she hissed, her perfect stepmother mask finally completely shattered. "You've been planning this the whole time, haven't you? Playing the innocent stepdaughter, while plotting behind my back." I shook my head calmly. "I didn't plan anything, Betty. Dad planned this. He knew exactly what kind of person you are, and he protected me from you even after death." She stood up so violently that her chair crashed backward. "I'll contest this. I'll hire the best lawyers in Chicago. There's no way this will hold up in court." That's when I pulled out the final document. Dr. Williams's notarized statement confirming Dad's mental competency when he created the trust. "Go ahead and try," I said, meeting her furious gaze. "But you'll need to do it from somewhere else. I want you out of my house by tomorrow evening. And honestly, Betty, that's more generous than you deserve." Betty started crying, ugly, manipulative sobs that she'd probably used to get her way her entire life. Within seconds, she was wailing about family loyalty and Christian forgiveness, playing every emotional card in her deck. "Where will I even go, Kelly? I gave up everything for your father. I have nowhere to turn," she sobbed, reaching for my hands like we were long-lost sisters instead of mortal enemies. "Surely we can work something out. I'll be a better stepmother, I promise." But I was already on my phone calling Anderson Locksmith to schedule an emergency rekey for that afternoon. "Hi, this is Kelly Thompson at 847 Maple Street. I need all my locks changed today." "Yes, it's an emergency situation." Betty's sobs turned to rage as she realized I wasn't falling for her performance. "You can't do this to me. What would your father think? What would your precious mother think about you throwing family out on the street?" "My mother would think I'm finally standing up for myself," I replied, watching the locksmith's van pull into our driveway. "And Dad orchestrated this whole thing. He knew you'd show your true colors the moment he was gone." By 6 o'clock that evening, Betty's designer luggage was stacked on the front lawn, like an upscale yard sale. She stood in the driveway screaming about family values and Christian charity, while our neighbors watched from their windows, like it was premium cable television. This isn't over, Kelly, she shrieked, loading her coach bags into her Honda. I'll take you to court. I'll expose what a manipulative little witch you really are. Everyone will know the truth. The truth, I called back from the front porch. The truth is that you married a dying man for his money, tortured his daughter for 3 years, and thought you were smart enough to get away with it. How'd that work out for you, Betty? She screamed profanities that would make a sailor blush, cursing both me and Dad's memory before peeling out of the driveway, in a cloud of burning rubber and wounded pride. The next morning, I found her eviction notice in the recycling bin, and had it professionally framed. It now hangs in my home office as a reminder that sometimes the universe delivers perfect justice. You just have to be patient enough to let it unfold. Betty told me to find my own place. Turns out I already had.